Ready to take the next step? No matter your financial need, Goppert Financial Bank is your local lending solution. From refinancing or purchasing your new home, to growing your small business, to taking your farming operation to the next level, we will take that next step with you. Stop by or visit us online at goppertfb.com to learn more.
Hi, this is Connie Whitlock with the Pleasant Hill Times, and I am here with Shelby Teufel from the city of Pleasant Hill. You are the city administrator, yes. And I've been wanting to do this interview for so long. It's so exciting. So we're going to dig in here and find out a little bit about you, about the city, and hopefully have a good chat, right?
Yeah, it's good to be back here.
Mm-hmm. So, so let's talk about you for a minute.
Okay.
So you have... actually, don't you have twins?
I do. I have 12-year-old twin boys.
Oh, my
that
goodness.
were born on my birthday. We just celebrated our birthday.
Oh!
Yeah, so it's like Christmas at our house at the same time.
So how do you celebrate with twins? Do they all have the same friends?
Yes, for the most part, my kids historically have had pretty much the same friends.
Do you dress them alike?
No, but by nature they do kind of dress alike.
Really?
Yeah, they just kind of like the same types
Are they
of
identical?
Things. They are identical.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, we're just hitting the age. I have always wanted my own birthday, so them coming along has kind of messed with that plan. And now...
You've always wanted your own birthday. Are you a twin?
Oh, no, I also had shared the same birthday with my grandpa.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's just like that day is a very important day in our family, apparently.
Gotcha.
So I just did not want to have kids on my birthday. And then that happened. So I had just
So they were born on your birthday?
Yeah, they were born on my birthday.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Right.
Now you have to share it.
Right. And so like I've just come to terms with it, and now one of my kids is like, can I have my own day? Can we separate these out?
Yeah.
But he wants to hold to the original day. I'm the original. I'll stick with it.
Right.
So now we still all celebrate.
So are you saying that each one of your boys want their own birthday party?
One of them.
One of them wants their own birthday party. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
we're entering an interesting twin world time.
That's interesting. And they go to Pleasant Hill?
Yes, they go to Pleasant Hill Intermediate School.
How's that going with COVID? What have you experienced with COVID in the Pleasant Hill schools?
It's fine. I have found that kids are very adaptable. They go to whatever environment they need to. Pleasant Hill schools have been absolutely great. We have not had any issues or challenges throughout that.
Really?
Yeah. I have very rule-driven children, though. So you tell them what the rule is, and they will do it.
Well, you are the city administrator, and you know how to do that. You probably know how to run your home as well, right?
My husband primarily runs our home, but
oh wow,
yeah, it has been a little bit of a shift because I have been more involved with them in the past year.
Yeah.
So changing that up a little bit.
So you live in one of the subdivisions, right?
Yes.
So you've been kind of feeling what the rest of the town has been feeling, right? Like with the trash and the utilities. So what is it like being on that end versus your end? I mean, do you just take care of your own problems? Do you call yourself?
We actually have encountered this in which my husband will say, like, we didn't have our recycling bin delivered to our house.
Okay.
And he was like, but like everybody else, like, who do I call? And I'm like, could you please call instead of me?
Call somebody else.
Like, I would prefer it wasn't
really.
me. It would simplify and streamline a lot of things, but I try and make him handle a lot of the city-facing things.
He calls. Does he call and say, this is the city administrator's husband?
No. No, I would prefer it if he didn't.
I mean, hey, he might get faster answers.
No.
Or they might say, you know what, you need to go to your wife. I mean, seriously, she knows. She's just not telling you, right?
No.
Does he go to the meetings, to the council meetings?
Oh, no, he refuses.
He doesn't want to get involved?
Refuses to go.
You just take care of that.
Mm-hmm.
You take care of all that business.
Yep.
Do you ever, brief him?
Oh, all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So does he give you his opinion or?
Typically not.
No?
No.
I don't care. You're just talking about work.
Pretty much.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it's just the twins.
Yes, just
Twin boys and you two.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your favorite thing about Pleasant Hill?
I have always loved the people of Pleasant Hill. I grew up in a really small town, a town of less than 2,000 people. And so that personal connection is critically important to me. And that is one thing that I think Pleasant Hill does very well, does better than almost any other city that I have ever encountered.
Really? Do you think it's because it's...
I think it's because it started out smaller.
Okay.
I really do think it's a byproduct of being as small as it was in the 80s and the 90s. I think we're starting to see a change in the community as we've grown a little bit, as we've had newer residents move in. Some of those historical connections are not there, or maybe not as large as they
Right.
were before. To me, that's a little bit exciting because then we have people who have to find a way to integrate into the community, and we really try and figure out what that community identity is moving forward.
Right. Any ideas?
We've had some ideas pitched out as, because everybody recognizes that what we have here is extremely special. And even as we're working through the comprehensive plan, like that's going to be one of the core themes of how do we maintain this identity of a small town community, or even if we grow, how do we maintain those connections as we grow? And so we've had ideas pitched out, like increasing maybe block parties. And that's one of the things council has really said to us. Like, if a resident wants to have a block party, streamline that process because we want people in neighborhoods to make those connections with other people. Our community is very much a commuter community at the same time, with an average commute of 30 minutes. Again, I think COVID has kind of changed that world a little
you
bit.
see the man in the back
I do
there
see it.
working for a health company, right?
Yeah,
He
so
does
I
not
think-
work for the paper.
I think we are seeing still some people that are living here, living their whole life here,
Right.
more than they had before.
Do you think that changes the game because they're immersed in the town
Right.
now?
Yes. And so I think it opens up more time and freedom to make those connections versus when you just commute, that's the place you sleep, and then you go back and you do your thing again. And so kind of the block party concept was built on the ability to get out of our homes, to get to know each other. The network and really get to know your neighbors, because that's what makes a community strong, is the network of people.
In the olden days, it was the church, but then you got Facebook, and I think everybody's wanting to go from the social media to people again.
I think
that.
we're seeing that shift again.
So maybe clubs. I mean, the block parties is an amazing idea. But if you can't do that, I mean, there are many clubs around town. I know that Press Monkey, there's a book club. I mean, I'm wondering if we can even start things like that where it's face-to-face and have people of their interests, gaming, whether it's, the nerds back there, my husband's IT, right? So I don't know. It's just something... to think about.
Even within the parks world, one of the things that we're seeing the shift toward is esports programming.
Really?
Yeah. So like, again, whenever you take it away from the traditional sports concept, there's a niche for esports or e-gaming that could really bring people together. We haven't yet gotten to the point where we're exploring it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's finding whatever those kind of interests are throughout the community. I think Pleasant Hill has a strong church network that is still prevalent. But yeah, I think we are shifting more back towards.
You have a lot of people going to Lee Summit too. So you've got that bedroom town going to some of the bigger ones. That's quite haven't made the shift.
Yeah.
But I think they will. Eventually, I really do think they will. We did, because we were going to a bigger church outside. And I'm like, why are we traveling a half hour when we could go 10 minutes?
Yeah. One of my pastors challenged us one time, could you live your whole life within 1 mile of your home? And it was one of the most profound things that I had ever heard.
Really?
Because it was really about, like, we create community close to us. And so it was, do you have your social networks there? Do you have the people that can check on your home? Like, do you have all the amenities that you need close to home? And again, growing up in a small town, like, that's really, I think I was leaving downtown Pleasant Hill one day, just randomly. And I looked at my husband and said, this is why I love this place. Because growing up in that small town, I did have everything within 1 mile.
Yeah.
You had your dentist office, you had your doctor's office, post office, pharmacy, like grocery store. Everything was walkable. And I hear that a lot out of people that are my age and a little bit younger. What they're really looking for in their communities and where they choose to live is about this close-knit community in which you can walk wherever you need to go. And I think that's one of the intriguing things about here is we do have that ability here.
Well, and if you disappear, they will miss you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you're like in a big town, Kansas City, Lee Summit, they don't, you don't show up somewhere, it might be days. Here, you don't. Somebody's missing you because you're regularly going to Press Monkey or the Wine Stop, or you know what I'm saying?
You are 100% right. A few months ago, my husband ended up needing to go to the ER, and we had ordered a pizza at Guido's. And So we never made it. So the next day I went back in to pay for our food that we didn't get. And immediately they were like, what happened last night?
Really?
They knew. And they were like, we knew something had to have happened to your family because you wouldn't have just
See,
not
you
shown up.
would not get that in Kansas City.
Never.
They were like, oh, free pizza or free money or whatever. You know, they didn't pick up their stuff. They didn't.
Yep.
They wouldn't care. That is amazing.
Yeah.
That I love this community for that. Yep. And the question is, and I talked to the mayor about this a little bit, and I'll talk to a little bit about it with you, is how to keep this small town feel as we grow, because growing is inevitable. Sorry. And there's nothing we can do about it, right? You can't just say, sorry, you can't move to Pleasant Hill anymore. We've have enough, you know? It's going to grow. And I always said that if you don't choose how you're going to grow, it'll just choose how for you. Sorry. And so what do you think? I mean, have you thought this out?
Oh, absolutely. This is what I do. This is part of my line of work. So we actually are undergoing a comprehensive plan update, and that is the core fundamental question of the comprehensive plan.
Now, you guys met about this, right?
We have been working on this project for a couple different months. We recently had a community visioning process in the middle of October. And really, that visioning process is we made sure that it was online, we had surveys, and we're meeting in person because we want to be able to meet people where they are, and we recognize that sometimes a sit-down meeting isn't it. But we wanted to hear, what is your vision for Pleasant Hill? Like, at the end of the day, the end result of this comprehensive plan is primarily focused on how do we want to grow? What's that land use composition? Do our transportation networks look like? What's the impact financially to the city of growth, and what does that look like? And how can we grow kind of smart at the same time? But at the end of the day, this plan is the community's plan. It's not the City of Pleasant Hill's plan. It's not my plan. Do I financially, as the person who at the end of the day has to operate the systems of growth?
You execute the vision.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I have to maintain the road infrastructure and the water infrastructure of that growth. I have thoughts about how that should go.
I mean, because Highway 7, because I grew up in Olathe, and it was Santa Fe. And the way Santa Fe evolved was very chaotic and frustrating. So I think of Highway 7 going through Pleasant Hill, and I think they did a good job making that middle
the turn lane,
all the way down, because I was here when it was just 2A.
Okay.
So yeah, I remember that, and when they did that, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
But now, how do we get it so there's not light? I mean, is there a way to go around it for a quick, sometimes they have like the business district and then they go around. But if you go around, you don't want to take business away from the center. I mean, there's all this complicated thought for design.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as part of this comprehensive plan update, they were looking at what is the existing data that we already have. Can we look at the road networks, the sidewalk networks, and the infrastructure side of things? Then we went to community visioning, and now we're kind of doing the matching between the two. And one of the things we call this, kind of our tagline for it, is connecting the community. And we meant that from really a social component, but also from an infrastructure component.
Yes.
Because what we have, I call it 7 highways, the spine of Pleasant Hill, and everything else is just a rib. And everything connects to it. So we're looking at ways in which we could connect some areas, whether it's through biking, whether it's through walking, or through transportation infrastructure, to better mobilize and move people.
So what's the historic district? How does that play as a role in the future?
So the historic district really has a long-standing history with the city of Pleasant Hill. Obviously, it was here in the 1800s and is really kind of the second. Most people don't know this, but it isn't the original part of Pleasant Hill.
No, it's not.
It's really the second version.
It was 7.
The second version of Pleasant Hill.
And that even burned down. So I know. There was a lot of fires.
We've tried. And so the historic district is something that the city has long recognized needs to be preserved. Whenever we're looking at the gold standards of main streets and kind of downtown revitalization. Making sure that we're preserving our buildings is a critical piece of that. So even back in the 90s, the city actually has made the historic district or the downtown area its own certified local government so that we can preserve that history through a historic preservation
But how do
commission.
you, okay, so I know I hear sometimes like the other side of town merchants are like, oh, well, the historic district gets all the, the attention. So how is the city thinking about the future of businesses on both sides?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, we want all of our businesses to succeed.
course.
And really throughout that visioning process, one of the things that I have taken away, I don't know if this will make it into the plan,
Okay.
but what I think I have really heard is a desire for us to continue kind of this local business, this local feel, small business entrepreneurship tract. And if I really scan the environment of our whole community, that's what we have.
Wow.
So whether it's 7 Highway, whether it's in the historic district, doesn't really matter to me.
It's a city of entrepreneurs.
That's where
Wow.
that's one of the things that I was thinking about, like what, as a result of this, where do we go for economic development? I've been trying to figure out like what are the action steps that will be next.
Right.
If that's the culture that we're trying to foster.
Because we do need industry, but how do you do industry when you're landlocked? You don't have highways right next to you.
One of the great assets that we do have, though, is rail access, and that's one that we're gonna really continue to
Really?
explore. Yeah, we.
I wish they'd
Hickson-
stop here.
Well, me too. I'm never going to give up the dream that Amtrak's going to stop
the
in Pleasant
dream.
Hill. But down on Walker Road, where Hickson Lumber is, they already have a rail spur. And so basically it's a siding so that the rail
Yeah.
traffic can come off. They can load their product and then go.
Okay.
There is some land that is not yet developed down
Really?
there that could attach, or we think that that's a very real possibility.
Nice. Wow, that's a story. I'll have to ask you about that later. We were going to talk about the Christmas thing coming up.
Yeah,
know.
the mayor's tree lighting. This is an event that has changed and morphed over the years, and we get very excited about.
When is
every
it?
single
Do
year.
you have a date? Oh, you
gonna
can
have to
look.
check this
I'll
up.
let her look it
Sorry.
up. I'll just tell you. Last year was my first time. I didn't even know this went on, and then last year I was like, wow, overwhelmed. I'm like, this is great. And not only did you have the, the old time Pleasant Hillians, that have been here forever, but I saw people jumping in the game or jumping in that parade that had UTVs that just moved here a year or two ago. And that they were so excited. They're like, I'm so glad I live in Pleasant Hill. And they had their UTV all decorated and it was just amazing.
Yeah. So the date is December 4th.
Oh, early.
Yeah,
Okay.
December 4th. It's always the first Saturday
Okay.
in December.
Okay.
Events really throughout the day. Tree lighting, obviously, around dusk. UTV parade shortly after.
Are we going to improve on it this year?
We are adding food trucks this year.
Okay.
Which was a desire from last year.
Fire pits?
We are doing, I think we're expanding our fire pits as well.
Okay.
The way the mayor describes it is he really wants this to kind of be a holiday block party.
Oh, wonderful.
And so this is really morphed from an event a couple of years ago that was like, let's just flip the lights. We'll have dancers. We'll have singers. It was beautiful. It was
Right.
It was fine also. But what we were really having a conversation is, what does business conversion look like? How do we grab the people who are here and get them into the businesses? Because an event for us is only as successful as the way
but
that we help each other.
You have to get the merchants involved in that one.
Yes.
Right? So it's like it's both and.
Right.
Right.
And so the first year that we had authorized UTVs to work on, to
Yeah.
drive on city streets, one of our staff members was like,
We need a parade.
what if we did this as a parade? They do golf cart parades. Let's see if we can do it. And it has just turned into something completely different. And it is now.
I want to buy a UTV just so I can be in it. I don't have one.
Maybe you could borrow one.
I'll borrow one. Anybody have a UTV for me? That would be great. I want to be in the parade. That
Yeah,
would be
so
great.
whenever I was saying before, we want to create those community connections. That is
Yeah.
yet another one that, like, now people recognize, like, oh, we should go to this, and
That's a
they're telling their
thing.
neighbors, and that's just another touch point that we can have to create that
that's a
community.
thing. Yeah, and I think the merchants, if they get involved and have their lights on and open up later, decorate your windows. I always wanted to get like I don't know, what do you call those, moving Santa, in front of the windows or something for the little kiddos or something like, I know, right? I don't know how. I'm going to figure it out. Maybe I'll go online and figure it out.
Yeah.
But I think it would be so cool, too, if the churches could get involved and they could get their choirs to dress up in old-time garb and come down, that night and just start singing after the stage show, right?
Stage show.
You know, they can be at different ends of the the streets and everything. I don't know. I think we just make this Christmas, right?
One of the other things that we have added that will be coming this year is last year we had a little bit of vendor space.
Okay.
On Wyoming Street. We this year kind of opened it up and said, hey, would anybody like to sell their products there? And we have seen a great response on that. And we'll continue to take applications on that.
Amazing.
So almost like a holiday mart style something.
Yeah.
So you could also buy your gifts too.
That's
either
cool.
in one of the merchants or
I look forward to it all the time. I mean, I just can't wait. Well, that and Halloween with the like 1,000 kids came down. I mean, we ran out of candy like 20 to 6. We ran
did too.
out.
We ran out too.
Oh no! And I got more than last year.
Yeah.
I mean, we ran out last year. I'm like, we're gonna have to get a few more bags, and it was a lot of candy. And I told Anna, I said, you're being way too generous. You need to. I think you're giving away too much. Give out one piece or something, and so we stretched it, but next year we're really going to have to just buy more candy, apparently.
Yeah. And I am continually amazed and appreciative that is a destination, an area that our community sees a
Do you
lot of
think
value
outside people from Pleasant Hill, I mean, I think they're outside too. There was way too many people. I'm like, this can't just be Pleasant Hill.
That's okay. They're still here.
Yeah.
They still saw what we had to offer.
Yeah. Well, Press Monkey was packed.
Yeah.
The wine stop was packed. It was a beautiful thing. And I think Christmas, the December 4th thing's going to do that too.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about what you do for Angel Tree, the city.
So there are many different ways in which our residents can give to different people and organizations throughout the holiday season. And one of them has been the lay clergy's Angel Tree. What they really do is they focus on kids and making sure that every child that needs something, that there are others in the community that can match up and meet that need.
Do you go to City Hall to get it?
And so one of the ways City Hall has always helped is we are the host of the Angel Tree. So the lay clergy does all of the legwork. They deliver the angels that says, this age child, this is what their request is. We write down who has what, and then we are also the collection site.
So are they all Pleasant Hill kids, or are they
I
other?
believe so.
Okay.
Or probably Pleasant Hill School District, like that in general.
Gotcha. So, and that is something that you can go to City Hall when?
Usually after Thanksgiving.
After Thanksgiving?
Maybe
what
a
are the
little bit
hours at
before.
City Hall?
We are open from 8:30 in the morning until 12:30 in the afternoon. After COVID happened, we ended up, we all take lunch at the same time.
Okay.
So then we are closed from 12:30 until 1:30, and then we're open again.
Does that work for
1:30 until
you?
5. Works for us. At the end of the day, it's about what works for the residents.
Yeah.
We actually believe that we provide better service rather than somebody coming in at 11 for someone and not knowing whether they're there or not there.
Yeah.
And then telling them, you have to come back in an hour.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
it was a better service delivery is that everyone will be here during the hours
because you have to
that we're
eat,
open.
you have to eat. And if you have departments, that just makes sense. You just close down for about an hour. I think we got an idea here. I think this is what we're going to be doing. So she's laughing. She's laughing at me. So anyway, so what's coming up? You were talking about property maintenance and the building codes. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So Connie and I were talking about things that are coming up on upcoming city council meetings. And one of the things that we will be bringing before the council here soon are revisions to our property maintenance code and our dangerous building codes. They're really primarily procedural, not necessarily what is allowed or isn't allowed. But on the property maintenance side of things, it's going to provide a clearer direction on how much time we give people to make that change on their own, and really kind of separating an administrative process from kind of a criminal process, which we hope no one ever gets there. But if we ever needed to issue tickets.
I know I got a call or at first I didn't get a call. I got something in the mail. It says, okay, you need to do this, this, and this, or something like that. Because we just moved in. We've got an old building. And I just remember going, oh my gosh, there's no way I'm going to have that done by November 30th. So I called him up like, So he gave me, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
They're
So the
starting to
way
push?
that we have really on the property maintenance side of things, we've kind of re-energized that process really within the past 2 years. But what that means is we're issuing a lot more letters and letting people know you're out of violation with your code.
That's a recent thing. Then.
It is a relatively,
Okay.
I mean, we've had it off and on throughout the city's history, at least in the 11 years that I've been here, 10 years I've been here. But it's how much time do we dedicate to that task? And so
Right.
a couple years ago, the council wanted to focus on this. And so we hired somebody to work
And that's Jim
dedicated
Coldsnow?
part-time. There's two different ones,
There's two
actually.
different ones, okay.
There's two. So Jim Coldsnow works primarily on the building structure side of things.
Okay.
Jay Walters works on everything
Oh, I
in
like
the
Jay.
yard and subsequent,
Yeah.
around, not the building
He's
side.
the lake guy.
Yeah, but he also works on the code enforcement side
Okay,
too.
gotcha.
Separately.
So, okay, let me ask you this. For the people that have been here for a long time or have moved out here to get away from the restrictions from Lee Summit, Overland Park, is there going to be wiggle room
So that's
for
kind
that?
so what I was getting ready to say is that Jay primarily takes most of those. He would have the most contact with people. And Jay works very hard with them to make sure that they have time
Right.
to make progress. And at the end of the day, what we're looking for is progress rather than we don't want to write people tickets. We don't want
Right.
to take them to court. At
Right.
the end of the day, we want
Because
the
I know
area to look better.
I know a lot of people move out because they want to be able to wash their car in their driveway or they, you know what I mean? They have all these regulations that are just kind of really restrictive. So is there a wiggle room for a smaller community to be still a smaller community without wrecking the aesthetics?
Right.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
yeah, absolutely. And, you said the perfect thing earlier about it's our job as staff to implement. So
Right.
we have to follow and enforce the codes that are there. We continually will have the conversation with council because they hear feedback too. And their feedback is, as we've done this, the first letter that people get, they think is, oh no, I'm getting that ticket.
Oh.
And they take it as very harsh rather than like, hey, remember, you got to clean
Right.
this up.
Right.
And so immediately they'll start getting calls. But really, the conversation that we've been having with council, really, I can think of at least 3 times we've brought this up, is, but are the violations that exist in code really what you want us to be focusing on?
Right.
Is there anything that, council would be the one to determine?
Well, and what are you
where that would
preventing?
be.
What are you trying to prevent with each code? Because some of them, some laws are made because somebody made a really big stink, you know what I mean, and was refusing to, I don't know, get their dead car out of their, you know what I'm saying, out of their driveway or whatever. So, I mean, yeah, I guess they would have to go to the council meeting and speak. How do you
if they
do
wanted
that?
to change the code. We are actually relatively flexible with our public comment periods. So if somebody has something that they would like to address with the council, you could call the city clerk. Right now, Jody Wasson is filling in that role for
Okay.
us.
So if you call City Hall and say, I want to talk
I
to
would
the
like to
city
be on
clerk.
the council. Yeah,
Okay.
talk to the city clerk. Because I would like to be on the council agenda.
Okay.
Typically what she'll do is she will then decide if there's anything that we could do to address their issues internally with
First.
the staff.
Okay.
Because sometimes people don't know, and we recognize people don't know
Right.
which level they need to be at.
Right.
If we can address it internally, we'll
Right.
handle it that way. But if it truly is a policy issue that staff cannot handle, just because that's not our role,
Right.
then we will put them on the council agenda. We also have a public comment period for every council meeting that we have. And so if you just show up, write your name,
Really?
check a little box that says I would like to speak before the council, you can just walk in, and during that
Excellent.
public comment time, anyone
Excellent.
can speak.
Is there anything else you can think of that you would like Pleasant Hill or the people listening to know?
I would say get involved as much as you want to get involved.
How would you do that?
I was going to say, for us, the comp plan is really one of those foundational pieces. Make sure that your voice is heard throughout that. We're trying very hard to diversify the way in which we communicate with people.
Is that on your website?
It is on our website. It also has a dedicated website, PleasantHillComprehensiveplan.com.
Okay.
And every presentation is out on that website as well, so you can follow and keep up with that progress. We have seen a large response from just a community web survey that they did. Our consultants have been thoroughly pleased with how many people have responded to that survey.
Ooh, that'd be interesting to read.
I know. I look at
If I could be a fly on the wall.
But they've been really pleased because we're outpacing some of the other communities.
Nice.
And it's really because we know that that's how our community engages.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Thank you.